his services to value all this toxic waste. I think it actually just added to the misperception that this stuff A had real value, and B it could be effectively and efficiently priced in a market in which there are no buyers. Exactly.
To say, well, I've got I can give you for free a mathematical algorithm that will price these assets. It can't be done, and it basically would lead people to believe that this kind of process can be, engaged in some sort of reasonable way. And the truth of the matter is that it can't be. If we ever did such a thing, the important thing would be there are people. There are people out there who probably are smarter than others at knowing what these things actually are worth. Those people actually work for the financial institutions that own them. On the other hand, if you want to know how difficult it is to get any bead on which ones are really totally useless and which ones actually do have real value, it's very hard. We should understand how hard it is to come to that to that knowledge, because the reason we have a freeze in the credit system is because the Sharpies in every bank know they can't figure out what the stuff the other banks have on their books is really worth. So even the sharpest people out there are having a very difficult time figuring out. I can't imagine an auction where the people buying from the Treasury would not be at a severe information disadvantage compared to the people who they were buying from.
Well, Dr. Hanel, can I interrupt for a second here?
Yes.
We have about 3 more minutes here for your questions here. And we have a question here from a caller about how this affects the kind of average person. And if you look at M1 and M2 money supplies, they're about the same, if not a little bit more than they have been over the last 5 years or so. And so this is all kind of happening in the financial world with basically paper money that's floating back and forth between these institutions. But how does that affect the little guy?
Unfortunately, the little guy buys most of his stuff with credit cards. Unfortunately, the little guy who wants to buy a house with a mortgage. Unfortunately, the job that the little guy has is with a firm that needs, for operating purposes, that needs lines of credit, for short-term borrowing in order to conduct normal business. We have linked our economic fates in the real economy to the functioning of the credit system on a daily basis. Basically, all of us have, unless you're still involved in subsistence agriculture out in the middle of nowhere. And that's the danger to the ordinary person. The basic problem is that the ordinary person will suffer greatly if we have a financial meltdown, and we're in the middle. We're already in one, and the question now becomes how big the magnitude will be and how effective the intervention will turn out to be.
Robin, this is John Sackwitz again. We need to wrap it up. Again, we're looking to put together some town hall meetings in our county. If we were to extend the invitation to you and get a little money to be able to get you down here, would you take us up on it? We'd love to have you down.
Andrew, you're in Northern California, and I'm in Portland, so it's not that far, so it sounds like a possibility. And I did hear that people are worried about county pension systems, and I don't know any. I certainly don't know any of the details about the county pension system in your county, but state governments and local governments and pension systems are going to start to feel the pinch. They already have started to feel the pinch.
Thank you.
This is a problem that concerns us all. It's not just something that Wall Street bankers might lose some money. You can't approach it that way.
Thank you, Robin. We look forward to having you to Mendocino County.
Okay, thank you very much for having me on your show.
I'd like to introduce our next guest. He is John R. Talbot is the author of Obamonomics. I was on the phone yesterday with the Obama people in California and just was looking to see what kind of credibility the book had. And many said the book is kind of the economic Bible of the campaign. Mr. Talbot is an former investment banker at Goldman Sachs, which of course is where Hank Paulson worked as chairman and CEO before he left for his current job as Secretary of the Treasury. Mr. Talbot was also one of the first analysts to predict the collapse of the credit crisis and the mortgage industry. So we want to know what he saw then and what he sees now. Tell us what you saw. Your book on the about the coming housing crisis was published when, 2004?
Yeah, I wrote one in 2003 called The Coming Crash, and then I wrote one in 2006 called Sell Now, The End of the Housing Bubble.
And what did you see then that all of Washington and most of Wall Street didn't see?
Well, I guess it takes some distance to be able to see the big picture, but I wasn't in the housing business. I was off doing developing country poverty work around the world. But it was clear to me that they had an unsustainable model, that they were lending, 2 to 3 times as much money to some of these homeowners that the homeowners could ever repay. I had a friend in San Diego that bought a nice $160,000 condominium, and 2 years later, a 2-bedroom, 1,100 square foot, very typical apartment. And 2 years later, they wanted to lend him $310,000. One, the problem being that it was a $160,000 condo, and 2, that he was a teacher making $40,000 a year. There's no way he could possibly ever pay it back on any repayment schedule. So, anyway, I got involved in it, and the problem was deeper than ever I imagined. I mean, it wasn't just the commercial banks and the mortgage brokers and the realtors pushing big amounts on people. It stemmed the whole entire financial system. Our banks, our hedge funds, our investment banks were all hugely leveraged with debt. And the commercial banks were no longer sitting on these mortgages. They had taken advantage of the repeal of the Glass-Steagall Law in '99 to get into the investment banking business, and they were rapidly packaging these mortgages and selling them upstream to people that depended on ratings to buy debt securities, which turned out to be a bad idea.
You sound like an investment banker. You have that gravity to your voice. I'd buy anything from you, sir. You got any CMOs for sale?
Yeah, they've told me my whole life I've had a voice for radio, and I tell them I have a face for radio, too. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to we invite you to the town meeting as well, and we'll come back to that. But